Okay, so this is a quick review for our applications in chemistry acid-base unit for the calculations part of our unit. So we had two major equations in our notes, and so you want to make sure you have both of these in your notes, okay? So this top one, grams needed equals the molar mass of the substance times the molarity times the volume in liters. This is the equation that we use when we're trying to figure out how to make a solution. So this is all about how to make a solution. Okay, how to make a solution. So if the question is, how do you make this solution? And it gives you the concentration, the volume, and the substance, then we're going to use this equation. Now remember, molar mass comes from the periodic table. We have to look at the mass number on the periodic table for each element, and you have to add that up for your substance in order to figure out the molar mass of your substance. And we'll do an example here in a little bit, okay? Molarity is the unit for concentration. Remember, we talked about concentration. That's how much stuff is dissolved in the water. So if you have a highly concentrated acid, the molarity is higher. And molarity is that capital M unit when you're looking at your problem. Okay, so if it wants a 0.5 molar solution of NaOH, then 0.5 is your molarity. Okay, and then volume in liters. And remember, in our notes, we put a few examples of milliliters that are common. So like 500 milliliters is 0.5 liters. Okay, or 250 milliliters is 0.25 liters. 100 milliliters is 0.1 liters. Okay, and those are the really common ones. Other than that, it might actually give you a volume in liters. Okay, under here, we have our other equation that we've been using. MA times VA equals MB times VB, okay? So this is molarities and volumes. Remember, molarity is concentration, so we're looking at concentration for that capital M. That's what that means. Molarity is concentration, moles per liter, okay? The volume of the acid and the volume of the base in this problem do not have to be in liters. They can be in milliliters, so you don't have to do any changing for the volumes in these problems, okay? Now we're going to do an example, but this equation down here is going to be used for titrations, okay? If we want to neutralize an acid and we know its concentration, and we have a base and we know its concentration and we know how much we have, okay? We know how much we can find the volume of something that's missing. So if I know I have 10 milliliters of an acid and I know its concentration and I have a base and I know its concentration, I can figure out how many milliliters I would need to neutralize that. Okay, or if I have an unknown concentration, maybe I don't know what the concentration of my acid is. This is what we did a lot in the lab. What you would do is you take a volume of your acid, like 15 milliliters, you titrated it with your base, and we knew the molarity of the base, and at the end of your titration, you knew how much base you used. And then you plugged everything in, divided both sides by VA, and you end up figuring out the molarity of your acid. Okay, so this can be used for volumes or molarity. So we're going to do an example of each of these on this side. So first one, how do you make 250 milliliters of 0.5 molar NaCl? So anytime you see this, how do you make part of the question, okay, that is going to be this top equation. Grams needed equals molar mass times molarity times volume in liters, okay? So we're going to use that. I'm going to go ahead and write that out here. Grams is going to equal the molar mass times the molarity times the volume, okay? Just remember that this one is volume in liters. Okay, molar mass. Well, the first thing is molar mass. Well, we're looking at NaCl. If I look at the periodic table, sodium has a mass of 23.0 and chlorine has a mass of 58.5, okay? So together, sorry, chlorine has a mass of 35.5. Together, they equal 58.5. Okay, so that's how much a mole of NaCl weighs. That's the molar mass. So grams is going to equal 58.5 times the molarity. Well, the molarity is given to you in the problem with this capital M right here. So 0.5. So times 0.5. That's a 5, okay? And then times our volume in liters. So 250 milliliters, remember, is going to be 0.25 liters. So times 0.25 liters, okay? Which we don't have to put the units in here. You can just trust me that this is going to work out, okay? So 58.5 times 0.5 times 0.25 equals 7.31 grams. Remember, we're trying to find grams over here, so that's the unit that our answer gets. Now, does this answer the question? How do you make 250 milliliters of 0.5 molar NaCl? No, this does not answer the question, but it does tell you how many grams we need. Then you have to put it into a sentence. Don't forget that sentence. We are going to dissolve, whoops, forgot an S, dissolve 7.31 grams of NaCl in 250 milliliters of water, okay? Dissolve 7.31 grams NaCl in 250 milliliters of water. So again, this answer, 7.31 grams, came from our calculation, okay? And then the 250 milliliters of water comes from the problem. That's how much solution that we need to make. Okay, the next question here. How many milliliters of 0.15 molar HCl do you need to neutralize 45 milliliters of 0.3 molar NaOH? Okay, so I know something about my acid. I know its molarity. I know the volume and the molarity of my base. Okay, bases, remember, end in that OH. Okay, so here's my equation. Ma times Va equals Mb times Vb. I know my molarity of my acid, that's 0.15 times Va equals molarity of my base, 0.3 times the volume of my base up here, 45. Again, you don't have to change these ones to liters. Okay, how do I get Va by itself? We're going to divide both sides by 0.15 so that we can move that over here and we end up with just Va. So when we do that, we calculate it all out and we're going to end up with Va equals 90 milliliters. So 90 milliliters of acid would be needed to neutralize that much base. Okay, that's a quick refresher. Now you're going to do a couple practice problems and then work on your unit review. Remember, you're going to have to do some of these problems on your test. So good luck, ask lots of questions, watch this video again if you need to. Thanks.